Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Motorgraph World channel. My name is Mari. Today I'm here with the newly facelifted Kia Seltos. Let's take a look at what has changed and how it has been improved inside and out. Biggest differences with the facelifted version of the Kia Seltos is the design aesthetics. There's not that much improved, but they are saying that it's not a full facelift, it's just an improvement for the future. The biggest differences that you will see are the front and back. With the face, you have the changes in the grille here. It has become a little bit wider and a bit taller as well. And there's this kind of distinction that goes all the way to the center of the grille. That happens on both sides, which means that it has made the front face look a little bit wider and a little bit more stronger. If you have on the emergency lights, you'll see these three distinct lights that are flicking. I actually do like the improved version of the aesthetics. Overall, you might not notice at one glance that it's completely different. However, there are subtle changes to the face. So now we've opened up the hood, and as you can see, you have the 1.6 liter turbo engine, and it also has been upgraded to the 8-speed automatic transmission. Overall, the horsepower has been improved to 198 horsepower. So now we're looking at the side profile. I think the least of the changes has been done to the profile of the car. If you start from the bonnet, it's quite flat on top. That's what I liked about the previous Seltos, that although it's a very compact size SUV, it looks a little bit bigger and it has that presence on the road because of the proportions of the car as well as how it's designed from front to back. So you have a very flat surface on the hood of the car, and those lines just continue on until the back. It's very streamlined, just very simple, and because it's a small car, I think that it's very important to be simple. And now you have the 235/45 tires, and you have 18-inch wheels as well. And now we're at the back of the car. The back side has also changed a lot. In fact, we passed a previous generation Seltos on the way here, and you could really see the difference when you had the cars side by side. I do like the upgraded version. It has coherence with the front face in terms of the design of the lights. Here you also have this kind of right angle going down, and this lamp goes all the way through, traversing the back of the car. It gives it more of a streamlined and more cohesive design. And here you see these three waves. I guess that is in line with the emergency lights that went on with the three lines. So front and back, it has been improved quite a bit. So now let's take a look at the trunk. We're going to do the Mari trunk test, but I would like to let you know that with the new version, if you have your smart keys in your pocket or with you, and once the car isn't turned on yet, if you approach the car, the trunk will automatically open. So it is a smart tailgate function that you have. For now, we'll just open it up the conventional way and do the Mari trunk test. It's quite easy to jump on because it does have a lower opening. And as you can see, it's very spacious in terms of the width. I do understand that because it's a smaller compact SUV, it's not as high. However, in terms of the width, it's quite spacious. You could fit maybe two of Mari's inside because of the overall depth of the trunk. And if you fold back the second row seats, you'll be able to have a much more flatter trunk inside. And now let's open up the lower compartment of the car. It's actually quite spacious. You have a lot of room inside. If you do need a little bit more space, then you'll be able to make use of this area as well. Inside, you distinctly get the feeling that this is a Kia design and a Kia model. From the subtle differences in how things are placed, as well as the overall color scheme and the layout, you do feel that this is more of a Kia compared to a Hyundai. So the highlight of the facelift of the new Seltos is the panoramic display inside, as well as the rotary for the transmission. So these two are probably the most distinct differences that you'll see inside the car. I have mentioned continuously that I personally prefer the gear knob. Because of the entire lineups of Hyundai and Kia models are changing to this rotary design, I guess that this is in line with the other models. The steering wheel is a distinct Kia, and even with the center console as well as the controls here, you have the black gloss as well as a slightly metallic gray that you have for the buttons. You also have the traction control here, and this also provides great seat cooling functions as well. I had it on the way here, and it's absolutely wonderful, and it's very quiet as well. I personally thought that the center console armrest is a little bit too far back for my height and my taste. The center console armrest can be adjusted front and back a little bit, but while I'm driving, I can't really put my arm on the armrest, so it's a bit too far back for me. But otherwise, you do have a lot of space. And now coming back to the seats are very comfortable, and the fact that you have cooling seats on this segment, I think, is a big plus. You have the slightly perforated design in the middle, and you have the two-tone seats for this one with camel and a slightly darker gray. They don't have that much cushion in them, but it doesn't mean that they're not uncomfortable. It's quite comfortable when you're sitting in the driver's position. You have everything that has gone down a little bit, and you also have the head-up display. But even with the head-up display that is a little bit more of a protrusion, you do have great line of sight. And now inside, the materials, you might have guessed or assumed, but because it's the lower segment, there are use of materials that are a little bit more reasonable, let's say. This is plastic, and they have tried to improve upon that by using these matte plastics as well as the gloss function here. But if you consider how much you're paying for even a full option Seltos, I think that they've done a wonderful job. So now I'm in the second row seats, and as you can see, it's very spacious. The seats are the same as the front row seats, as where you have the perforated seats. You do have the heated seats as well. And in the middle, you don't have that distinct line that kind of bumps you up. So the seat itself is very comfortable. However, the center tunnel is a little bit high for this model, so you might not feel so comfortable with your legs standing so high up. The seats can be adjusted in terms of their incline and recline. So this is the first level, and you can also push it back a little bit to have a little bit more comfort for the seats. In the second row, you also have the HVAC as well as these two for your charging. One slight drawback for our listeners and audience who love their panoramic sunroof, maybe it's because of the segment, but you only have that partial sunroof, not the panoramic sunroof. So if you decide to get an all-wheel drive for the Seltos, then you'll have a different suspension for the back. You'll have the multi-link suspension, but if you have the front-wheel drive, then you'll get the torsion beam suspension at the back. So now we're out on the road, and while we were getting to our first location, I did feel that the drive of the Seltos is a little bit different from other Hyundai cars. Recently, we've tested a lot of cars that were smooth gliding and very easy to drive, but I'm personally a very sporty driver, and I do like my cars to be a little bit sporty as well. Seltos is a little bit closer to that kind of drive. One thing I noticed about the Seltos is that it has great sound absorption. Of course, we're not riding at high speeds right now, but They did make it a point to say that they have added some sound absorption materials in order to lessen the sound level inside the car. Some of the cars that we had tested recently had really bad soundproofing inside, and you could hear almost everything from the engine noise, the wind, as well as whatever the car picks up from the road. But for the Seltos, even when you're driving at a certain speed, it's very quiet inside. Even with the seats, I don't feel that much of the vibration from the road. And overall, I think that it's a very quiet car. And there we have the older version Seltos that is going up ahead. There's a lot of a difference, especially if you see from the back of the car. Another point is that when you're idling, usually for a lot of gasoline petrol versions, you hear the engine running. And also the diesel models as well. But this one is extremely quiet. So I would say that the biggest advantage of the Seltos is that it's quiet overall. Whether it's just idling, whether it's running on the road, when you're inside the car. See, even when you're running, there's a lot of soundproofing involved. The handling and the responsiveness is quite good. And now the new facelifted Seltos has the 8-speed auto transmission. Before, it was the 7-speed DCT. And there was a little bit of clunkiness and a little bit of a lag when changing gears. But for this one, you barely feel any difference when it's changing gears. It's definitely an upgrade. And with the upgrade from the 7-speed to 8-speed, I do assume that at higher speeds and for longer drives, you'll get better mileage on the car. I've just changed the drive mode to sport. There's not that much of a difference. You get a little bit more push when you're stepping on the gas, and maybe a little bit of the change in the sound. So right now I have the adaptive cruise control on, and the car is following and adjusting the speed accordingly with the car in front of it. And even for me, an anxiety driver with control issues, it's doing quite a good job. As for the mileage, mostly we were driving within the city limits, and there was a lot of stop and go situations with the traffic. For about 30 minutes right now, the mileage stands at 11.7 kilometers per liter. But depending on the road situations and how you're driving, I think that you could have even better mileage. So that was our review of the facelifted Kia Seltos, everyone. So I hope that you enjoyed it. Please tell us your comments on what you think about the facelifted version, and remember to subscribe. I'll see you next time.